Awesome. Hey, what's up? It's a little cloudy in here. I'm over here doing some thinking in the clouds, trying to go ahead and make sure I can bring the best knowledge down to you so that way you can take ownership of your own finances the way that I have. The way that I started crypto was pretty simple. I took a little bit of my dad's money. Well, it was his life savings. He gave it to me because he felt like this whole COVID transition was going to make him lose his job. He wanted to make sure his wealth went into some allocations that did not depend on his efforts. So I entered the markets. Now, when I entered the markets, I didn't have any idea of what I was doing. So it created this rush or this desire or this pressure to learn everything I could about how the markets work. Now me, I am a very analytical person, but I'm also very risky. So everything I'm sharing with you has been based upon that structure of processing my decisions. I risk it, and I hope that after doing the research, I can risk it with even more confidence. And then whenever I do more research, I can understand how things expand outwards, and I'll explain things from that standard of operating first. So I started with crypto in the I started with investing the money in the stock market, but then I realized, you know what? I don't have a clue what I'm doing here. So I need to go ahead and take my money out and move it to a place where I can get ahead of the current financial system. Look, that's the first place where I think I should give myself a lot of credit, because when you look at what is going on with the financial system, you have to realize that it's breaking apart due to various inconsistencies with the way that tracking and quantitative production of the monetary system is being recorded. And so you have to look at it as, okay, there is quantitative easing and there is a lack of stability in the financial market because there is no peg to the dollar. So because there is no standard of operating, $1 is reflective of X amount of material of the earth, that means that we have to really reevaluate the way that we perceive everything that is going on. So I came up with the conclusion after learning about the laws of thermodynamics and listening to Michael Saylor and Raoul Pal and all these different genius individuals in the financial markets. You have to realize that everything is moving towards energy. Not necessarily minerals, but energy. And when energy is the concept of the discussion, we have to realize that there is a new form of energy production that has been held back from the world since the 1940s. Yes, this means free energy. This means everything that we've discussed about 3, 6, and 9 and the technologies of how energy works and moves from the third dimension to the fourth dimension, or more importantly, how we can pull energy out of thin air. And so because there are new methods of technology being devised or engineered or created that lets us manipulate the etheric realm for production of electricity in the third dimension, this means that we can turn energy or electricity out of thin air. This means that it's going to lower the cost of production for many industries, meaning that it's going to transition us into a brand new age of innovation, the renaissance of enlightenment, you could say, because we have now transitioned into a realm where we can understand the physics behind pulling energy out of the ether. And most people cannot grasp this concept, so I'll make sure to do another video on this. But those that understand the science of how to do so can see what's coming, because as we transition into this new world of crypto, crypto is not going to operate on oil, but you have to understand that. Because as we move on to these new laws of thermodynamics, there will be new methods of producing voltage and electricity and these new ways of innovating humanity's resources and production, because not only do we have to pay attention to the rate that we are evolving as a species and understanding our science of the universe, not just the planet, but we also are at the disposition of the sun's cycles. Every 400 years, the sun's cycle is changing, and every 11 years, the sun is entering a new phase. So currently, we're entering a solar minimum. What this means is that we're going to be seeing lower temperatures, which means that the earth is going to be colder, which means that the amount of production of food all over the world is going to decrease, which means that there's going to be a lot of riots, and it's going to be crazy. So what we have to do is transition into a new way of reorganizing society so that the resources are distributed evenly, because of the ability of being able to track supply chain production and minimize disruption by understanding the production that is going on and the chain that is going on. And if at any point in the chain something breaks, because of smart contract technology, quantum technology, being able to update information across multiple chains immediately, we shall be able to understand what is going on in the chain so that we can fix it right away without having to go ahead and suffer. Because now that we are becoming more of a globalized society versus a nation state or empire society where everybody's fighting for their own, land, we are now entering a place where everybody's collaborating, trying to bring their best resources to the table so that the world can function, not their nation can function. And this is all being pushed upon us by this technocracy that has been developed through technology, which has allowed us to not only understand the language of the DNA, but more importantly, the language of the etheric realm. So ask yourself, with this knowledge, what could we do as humanity? Because the way I see it, I'm positioning myself to be able to go ahead and take full ownership of my finances so that way I can go ahead and not depend on the system, understand the system, but operate on my own lane, because I understand that if I succumb myself to working only within the systems, then I've limited not only myself but my bloodlines from here on out. So I want you to put on a different mindset and start realizing that everything that is going on around us is a culmination of generations of programming that has led us to this point where individuals do not understand the financial system, they do not understand the financial terms, and more importantly, they don't understand the law behind commercial trade. Therefore, they are hindered by their ability to be able to move forward here. And so with your 24 hours, you have a choice to make, whether you go ahead and position yourself in a way of success or you succumb to their quote-unquote system and you abide by the mark of the beast. Because it's real simple, guys. All of this that's been going on has been premeditated for thousands of years, because the history of humanity has been played around with so that you would not understand certain aspects of how we got here. All right, and where we're really going is the awareness and the quote-unquote sustainability of the divine consciousness through the proper understanding of how to manipulate human energy as well as the etheric realms to be able to create infinite energy out of thin air, to be able to manipulate your own timeline and create your own reality by being able to access unlimited wealth. Look, I'm not no genie. I'm not here to bring you no magic. I'm just bringing you the truth that I've been able to acquire through my own daily endeavors. And so now that it's my place and time to share with you the basics of crypto, you have to understand a few things. Crypto is not just magically created, but it is converted by the utilization of electricity and computing power coming together to solve equations. Remember, equations, or quote-unquote problems, are algorithms or database issues that have to be solved by computing power, and those computers that solve that equation are rewarded with what's called a token, a Bitcoin, a reward, an incentive to keep producing for the ecosystem. It's a simple incentive mechanism that allows anybody to enter that space, because if you have a computer, you could then enter that space as long as you allow that computer to be able to download the software that allows it to try to aim to solve that equation. Now, obviously, there's so many computers involved in this Bitcoin network that now you have to have massive amounts of computing power to be able to solve the equation of what's going on. Remember, Bitcoin is the main infrastructure here, so those that understand how to mint Bitcoin using geothermal energy or electromagnetic energy coming out of 0 point energy, they're going to be the ones that win this long-term sustainability race of being able to mine Bitcoin with the highest computing power using the little amount of energy. But what is it that Bitcoin really is? At the end of the day, Bitcoin is an expression of electricity or voltage of wattage of needed to power a house or whatever it is at the value of the US dollar needed to match that. So if it cost you $100 to pay your house bill of electricity, well, imagine by you running your computer, you would earn $100 worth of quote-unquote this token that would be interchangeable for whatever currency in your country is at that rate. And so what this means really is that we are now entering a brand new point of transitioning energy, and that's what these layer 1 tokens are all about. All of these different tokens that you see here are trying to come up with innovative ways to convert energy into digital currency. So remember, energy into a digital currency that we can then build off of with quote unquote value. Value is derived out of the ability through whatever device of engineering you've been able to produce. Remember, engineering is the innovation of humanity. So without these type of innovations, we cannot move forward as a race, and more importantly, to move forward together as a conscious global race. We have to be able to go ahead and recognize that this technology of free energy or 0-point energy has been available to us since the 1800s, and before that, very few people have been able to describe the exact process to not only do it, but then funding the way to expose it to the world. And then because of this, there has been a monopoly or a quote-unquote occult development of these technologies, while the monopoly of the oil sector has been able to grow and sustain, quote-unquote, once again, the entire human race under the enslavement of petroleum. The utilization of petroleum going across multiple cases, whether it's the perfumes or it's the gas that we use or it's the tires that we ride on. Look, all these things have to evolve, and the creation of 0-point energy is going to remove tires out of the equation. It's going to remove gas out of the equation. Maybe it's not going to remove perfume, but you need to understand that all of these things are soon to happen because our current human innovation rate of innovation is skyrocketing, and regulations cannot keep up with it. Regulations way back in the 1960s, when the formula for creating options, remember, formula for the precise price to go ahead and put per stock for an option. This is key, guys. If we don't understand that in the 1960s, the Nobel Prize was created for this, was given to two individuals, right? They solved the formula for the precise number that a price or a stock should be priced at for an option. Meaning, if you make a call for the future or you make a sell for the future and you make a call option on either of those, well, that was in the 1960s, which means that regulation of terms and all these different structures have been trying to keep up with this rapid boom that we've had since the 2009, the creation of Bitcoin. Well, look, Bitcoin 2009, XRP 2011, and so now at 2011, we have created these brand new concepts of what is called no longer proof of work, no longer proof of stake, but now we're going into a brand new system of consensus that requires these nodes. Now, nodes are not available to us as the people, right? Because there is what's called the retail, there is the institutions, and then there's the government. And these institutions are private parties. These two get access to nodes of this party, this party, this party, and this party, if I'm not mistaken. But the rest, these are decentralized. You can actually buy a node of this. And then QNT does not have it. They just have 12 million tokens. Now, what's happening here is that as this new rate of technology is being developed, right, we have human innovation happening so fast that the technology is moving faster than regulation can keep up with it. So what's going on is that now we have not only the opportunity to create free energy from our current levels of engineering, but now that we are moving into a brand new world, the SEC has to be really careful as to how they want to regulate everything, because one is, can they regulate everything? And then two is, how do they regulate everything, right? And so the way I see it, once again, I'm just a nobody speaking my mind as I approach the markets, trying to understand how to become my own bank and help my people get out of the current system. We want to go ahead and talk about the faces that we're going to be seeing here, because as we keep moving forward, we have to recognize what is currently happening. Number one is that we have these layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4 written on the whiteboard for a reason. because Bitcoin has layer 1 solutions which help it move faster. The Lightning Network. Layer 2 solutions would make it move faster. The Lightning Network. Layer 1 tokens are really Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, XM. These tokens that you see here are layer 1s. They are the foundation. Now, there is what is called a layer 0, and we're going to discuss that a little bit more because it is more focused on cybersecurity, meaning the encryption models and all these things, which is why if the layer 0 is not built properly or layer 1 is not built properly, right? Because you have to have the proper cybersecurity fundamentals so that way there could be no issues. So we also have these projects that are called DAG that are layer 0 that you could build from the ground up. Now we are building on layer 1 hoping that these layer 1 tokens have good enough cybersecurity protection and coding to be encrypted for the long term. Because as we move forward, as we start building smart contracts, because that's what you want to do with digital money, programmable money, you want to be able to program the money to be able to do whatever you want it to based upon the code of execution that you choose to use. However, if that code has some hackable windows, then this is where these different hackers can infiltrate these wallets, treasuries, and escrows. So we want to be able to understand that these technologies have been developed by highly well capitalized or funded institutions that are developing some of the best technology to move the entire world forward through what's called distributed ledger technology. Now, distributed ledger technology is what you see here that has been created to replace the old internet. The old internet protocol is now being replaced by what's called interledger protocol, which uses what's called distributed ledger technology. Now, distributed ledger technology means that we're bringing all the ledgers, right? All the ledgers into one simple ledger, or creating access to always be able to access the main one, which in this case, this is QNT, which is the gateway into the blockchain ecosystem record keeping software, which requires a license. So remember that this quote unquote token here is a token that allows other networks to enter by using the licensing of the ISO regulation, which is why there are these 5 different ecosystems. And what's happening here is that these layer 2 infrastructures, such as Polygon, or we could talk about Flare in this case, because remember, Flare is what's allowing all the tokens that do not have smart contract capability running under the XRP network, they will all be able to be entered into the interoperability aspect of things. And even Bitcoin will be able to be wrapped, and Ethereum will be able to be wrapped and brought in to this ecosystem of Flare to be able to move across the entire infrastructure to be used across any platform with minimal gas fees because it's running under the XRP ledger. So there's all these things that are going on to move us forward to a distributed ledger technology world. Now, because we do have tokens that are interoperable or ISO tokens, these are being used by the banks to be able to store value, but they're smart contracts. Now, this can actually hold derivatives, and it can also hold DAOs, and it could also hold trusts, and it could also hold businesses. Look, these smart contracts are going to be able to house everything. But if that's the case, how do we regulate it? Well, the first step to regulating it is to price out the lower class. They want to make sure that anybody that is operating on these 2 networks, they end up losing out, right? Like every transaction that you make, you lose out. So if you don't have already a lot of Bitcoin stored away, you don't want to use that Bitcoin for leverage, collateral, anything. You just want to store it. So then what happens is you have to find ways to pay the Ethereum gas fees, because if you want to use Ethereum, there's gas fees, and these gas fees, they're expensive. So if you don't have a way of constantly producing income, these Ethereum gas fees are going to kill you. So what you want to focus on is being able to understand that there is a cost to operating this network, So I need to learn how to minimize my costs while moving in these networks. And so that's the price of living on Ethereum or doing projects on Ethereum, which is why when projects such as XRP, XLM, Algo, IOTA, or XDC come to the market, they are bringing in a brand new window of opportunities with minimal cost of transaction. So they have now solved the energy conversion into a digital currency problem, and they have now also solved the minimal fee problem, because there is what is called a new technology, distributed proof of stake, DPOS, which is what XDC runs on, DPOS. Now, distributed proof of stake requires, once again, node validation. Node validation is the comparison of a Bitcoin mining computer. So, how do you get this node? You have to have 10 million XDC. Now, if you happen to have an extra $700,000, then you, or $1 million, whatever it is right now, I don't know what the price token is, then you can buy a node, meaning that because you have 10 million of these XDC, you have now created enough smart contract capacity to be able to store a value number of transactions that move across the across the blockchain, and you can be rewarded for that. Every month, you will be rewarded for that. So you'll be rewarded around 66,000 XDC per month. So remember, this brand new system of operating and rewarding individuals is derived out of the need to evolve the technology, but more importantly, to reduce the fees that are being imposed on the individuals using the network so that it can be more accessible to the public. One XDC should let you move wealth around without a problem for a very long time without taking away the value per transaction. You don't want to send $100 and then they take away 70 and the person that receives it gets 30, or you want to send $100 but it costs you 70 to send it, so now you've got to pay 170. You see what I'm saying? Remember that becoming your own bank is all about you being able to understand the cost of transaction as well as the cost to create a new source of income. So, banks, what they do is you become their source of income. The more people that they have coming in, the more money that they have to play with, therefore the more money they can lend, and the more they can charge a rate of interest or a rate of return for that loan, and then give you a small, minuscule part of it. That's what they do. They basically loan out your money at about 10 to 15%, and then they give you less than 8% for using that money and having it stored with them. So in your mind, you're like, fuck it, I'm making some money. But in reality, they're making the money off of your money. You're just keeping it there because it's quote unquote more efficient. It's more efficient because we have now transitioned to an age where we don't carry around rocks or gold or silver. Instead, we don't even carry cash mostly. We put the cash inside the bank. The bank allows us to have a digital card, or a card that you can access digitally anywhere in the world. More importantly, now with your phone, you can access your money. So you can move money around that's entered at the banking location, but the physical wealth is at the bank, which is now the banks. So how do you avoid this? How do you earn money, but it never touches an intermediary party? Well, you have to become a node in a specific network. If you want to become your own bank, you must launch a node on a specific network. Me and my team are working to secure a few of these nodes in order to be able to redistribute the rewards with the entire world based upon a reward system of working out. It's that simple. But as we move forward, we need to understand that there will be regulations. And these regulations are going to be imposed on the world by utilizing this reward system in the banks. So think about it. Every bank in the world is going to launch their own node, which means that every bank will be able to earn a substantial amount of income. Then you're going to come in and say, I want to exchange my dollars for whatever crypto you have. And because they're going to have access to all these cryptos and so many more, because they are running their own banks, you essentially are now exchanging your US dollars through the bank to earn crypto or to get crypto. Therefore, the banks become an exchange. The banks become an exchange as a way to regulate the transactions from US dollars into cryptocurrencies. Remember that. But more importantly, banks will be using only what is called ISO regulated tokens to move money around the world. This means any of these because they will solve the liquidity problem. Remember, the world is entering or has been going through a liquidity problem. What is the value that we want to choose to send it across the chains in order to be able to settle transactions without loss of value across the transaction? I'm just saying, we are in a crucial time as the evolution of the financial system enters an evolutionary time of the financial technology. That's why these fintech companies are leading the way and regulation can't keep up. We are now facing a time when an algorithm is going to run the financial system because it is algorithms that determine the functionality or the efficiency at scale of an ecosystem, such as Ethereum has its own Olympus DAO, or you go to Avalanche Network and you have Time. All these different DAOs are what is creating the future for these financial sectors. And so everybody in the world knows that because Bitcoin gave birth to the crypto environment, and then Ethereum created the markets for utilization, not just the technology, it was available because of Bitcoin, but Ethereum leveraged that technology to create utility for the public to be able to bring in creators, developers, and those computer technicians who are ready as developers, coders, or knew the language, and also those aspiring coders, right? Because a brand new category of jobs was created when Ethereum launched its development program and it started incentivizing others to become miners. You need 32 Ethereum to become a node on Ethereum. So once you have 32, you can launch a node and earn Ethereum every month. Look, guys, this goes into a whole new realm of how to become your own bank. Because by freeing yourself of the system, by owning a part of the internet and the transactions of the internet, you will be able to position yourself as one of the leading innovators of the future by knowing where to position your wealth, so that way not only can you earn more wealth by becoming your own bank, but then you could provide liquidity opportunities for those in your community that maybe did not learn this information and are suffering in this time of transitioning into this new financial system. You have to help your people, but you can't help them if you don't help yourself first. So think about that as you learn about the transition from energy becoming digital currencies and how we lower the cost of fees by entering through these layer 2 solutions that are helping us scale, become more efficient, and enter these worlds of interoperability, because then we enter layer 3, which is where businesses and all these other companies such as Demetria are able to enforce a specific type of regulation in order to improve output or yield across human manufacturing platforms. Look, guys, this is crazy. But if I could figure this out, so could you. Because as we move forward to improving human output capacity, remember, it's all about leveraging technology, data, and crypto to innovate or to improve our yield as humanity so that we can keep creating at increasing rates, so that way the world can finally go ahead and move forward, eating, being entertained, doing whatever they got to do, but the technology runs on the background. All right, so let's go ahead and cover some more. Because as we go on, as I said, Demetria is a company, and I have to use green because they're green. Demetria is leading the way by using satellite technology and crypto to be able to increase yield for farmers across the world by about 30%. So what they do is they launch satellite technology, they look and evaluate at the entire land model of your plot of land, and they look at the sediment, they look at the dirt, they look at the composition of the soil that you're choosing to grow on, and they can tell you what minerals or what metals are present in there, so you can either remove those things or you can improve or allocate more awareness or attention to those minerals that have been depleted so that you can improve the overall yield. And they will also allow you to use their token to be able to interact with their ecosystem to exchange services with others who are participating in the ecosystem. Does this make sense? So now we are able to see what is called regulation by being able to impose through this ecosystem certain standards of operation through an algorithm, right? So we have these algorithms, and these algorithms are allowing us to create human improvements, but defined by the algorithms of the computer that have been set upon us. So it really allows us to move forward at a whole different level, where now we have these layer 4 tokens that are now going to be oversighted through what? The CBDC. So they're going to have platforms which allow us to create tokens, but they're going to have oversight of every single transaction. So this means that as we keep moving forward, yeah, Demetria was done right. Why? Because there is 3 options, right? You take advantage of the knowledge that you have right now to create your own company, or you succumb to them imposing their own, or you launch your own right now using your own awareness of the future upcoming technologies by using protocols that are decentralized so that you can always move forward. Now, right now, the price is $5,000 per token. So if you have not allocated the funds necessary to do so, I would highly recommend creating your own token so that that way you can have a plan to move forward with your own business. But remember, at the price tag of $5,000, there is a reason that people launching projects on Ethereum and any type of basically layer 2 solution of Ethereum, they're not paying these fees to create it because this is the standard. Remember, the standard means that it will not be shut down by regulations. It means that it is being built off of a whitelisted service or platform that is being created on XDC because it is the standard operating of trade and finance. Remember, trade and finance will run underneath XDC. This is why they've created what's called Trade Finex. Because Trade Finex will capture the entire trade and financial markets, which is valued at $19 trillion. This is why my business is being built on XDC, because as we keep moving forward, you will see that there are 3 options, right? You could have chosen to build your own using these platforms, following the same way. Then you could go ahead and fall victim to the CBDCs, or you can create your own token understanding these platforms. But once we get here and they are tracking all of these transactions, remember that transactions means tax, and at that point, you are now susceptible. Now, I'm not saying that going these routes are not going to have it, no. But the reason why you would go this way is to build what is called decentralized autonomous organizations, which are going to be able to redistribute wealth across all corners of the globe in order to create massive impact around the globe to bring everybody up evenly based upon a certain amount of effort or value that they provide to the ecosystem. So the more that you understand what is going on in these transitions of technology, the better off you will be. So as we keep going, I want you to keep in mind everything that you've learned, because now as we go forward to understand that there is a way to make money off of everything that is happening, you have to put yourself in a position where you tell yourself, okay, well, how fast is this going to happen? And if it's going to be within a certain amount of time, well, how much time do I have to become my own bank to be able to establish a position across multiple different blockchains or layer 2 solutions, so that way you can create a strategy that will let you go ahead and then not only be propelled by the shift of attention, meaning when the people go from saying, I don't know about crypto, to saying, okay, I'm all in on crypto, there will be trillions of dollars flowing into the crypto market. Remember, today we are at about 2.5, a little bit under $3 trillion. So I've been in the market under $1 trillion, right? We are currently at almost about 3 trillion. So in this time, when I first entered, I was in XRP all the way, because I learned that XRP was part of the conspiracy that told me that the whole financial system was a bullshit. And then when I learned that all of this was true, and I got in contact with some of the developers of these networks because I became their trainer, these developers are telling me, yo, you need to understand that this is just a joke right now. this is worth holding on to because it will take off, but right now the entire attention is somewhere else. So remember, you always need to wake up and realize where the attention is. The attention is in a few markets. We have what's called decentralized finance, we have what's called stable coins, and we have what's called ISO tokens. Okay, great. So because we have these things, we have to look at what it is. Well, what makes a DeFi opportunity is what basically allows you to go ahead, and this is called staking, right? And you can earn, or farming. So you can earn those things. What's a stablecoin? Well, a stablecoin is built through protocols. These protocols are defined by the codes that run these stablecoins, and I'll explain that. And then these ISO tokens are regulated tokens. Okay, great. So there's maximalists entering each sector of these things. But personally, what I've learned is that if I wanted to become my own bank, remember, this is a BYOB simple structure. Now, what you want to think about is that you need to think about placing yourself first and foremost in this area here and this area here. Now, the reason I put ISO as number 2 is because if you're not making passive income, remember, number 1 is passive income. This is your chance to buy what is called digital buildings on these different blockchains, right? Because the last thing you could do is buy nodes that run on protocols that you appreciate or that you respect or that you're curious about or that you want to see develop and that you support. Being able to bring in nodes on various layer 2 solutions equals ISO tokens coming in every single day or month. Now what this does is that this will increase your overall bag. Now when your bag of ISO is filled, then you can go ahead and move on to different things, right? Because you want to make sure that you have a little bit of XDC, a little bit of IOTA, a little bit of Algo. Once you've filled up your bag with all of these, then you want to start looking into stablecoin protocols and entering the positions such as like Luna and UST, which basically means that in order to keep the stablecoin stable, some of this Luna has to be burned in order to be able to keep it stable. So these protocols allow you to understand that certain coins such as Luna are needed to keep the stablecoin UST stable. And so these protocols can also be seen in the coin that's called MIM, right? Magic Internet Money. Now, any DeFi degenerate understands that MIM is one of the most incredible pieces of technology ever created. And so when we invest into these tokens, that allows us to be able to then take the compounded gains and invest into projects such as BTC and Ethereum, right? Because we have now created multiple layers of passive income. Not only do we earn income from having various nodes on different layer 2 solutions, but we can earn rewards by investing into the tokens or the stable coins by going into these this is through Yearn Finance. So what happens is you deposit your USDC into these platforms, and then you can go ahead and create these, or you could just earn 20% APY on whatever you deposit, taking that LP token into these platforms such as MIM, not Luna, into MIM. So you can take your LP and deposit and take it over to abracadabra.money, and you can then take these LP tokens, which are proofs that you have a 20% return on your value that's stored away over here. You could then take it to abracadabra.money that leverages Spell and ICE to create MIM and all these different things, and you can produce your own stable coin via a high yield loan, which then you take that high yield loan and then you can go ahead and either buy more of these ISO tokens before they go up in price, or you can buy more of these nodes which return passive income every month. And so you're facing multiple different structures of developing a financial system of your own to be able to put you in the position to become your own bank. Now, what does this do? Does this give you the chance to print out money just like the Federal Reserve? Yeah, basically. So I'm going to share with you a couple of these different networks that I participate in so that way you can understand how it is that we have been able to move from my perspective of XRP was greatest to now, as we enter the $3 trillion market, how I'm positioning myself so that I can make the most money through the transition. So we know that Ethereum has a few solutions that come out of it. And so what happens is you have what's called Polygon or Matic. Then you have arbitrage. Arbitrum, I think it is. And then you have Avalanche. And then you have Phantom. And then you have BNB. And if I'm missing one, please let me know. But the idea here is to position yourself in each one of these networks to earn some type of passive income. So let's define which type of passive incomes you should look at. Because to me, in Polygon, the best one is Klima. Now, it is down right now, but it was one of the originals, and it's a carbon bond-backed token. So this is important because Klima is earning about 30,000% APY. This is great. So if you buy a few tokens, you earn some yield. This is great. I'm not really participating on arbitrage, so I'm going to go ahead and stay away from that right now. But it is available for you as a layer 2 solution, and I know that there's a lot of really good projects on there. I've just kept myself mostly to these and stayed away from that. So there's just so many. You can't play in all of them. Just like Solana and all these different things. I can't be involved with every single one of these. So I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing. And so as we move on Avalanche, you'll see that you have a few things such as time. You also have what's called Thor. You also have another one that's called Papa. And this is Papa DAO. And so you have these different projects that you could partake in, right? And so in Phantom, you have other projects that you can access through Spooky Swap. Now, on Spooky Swap, this is called a DEX. A DEX is kind of what allows you to enter any kind of trade between two tokens. Now, all networks are going to have a DEX. Now, this is a decentralized exchange that you can enter and use the token of the network to swap. So it's also very smart, not only to get yourself ISO token, but to get yourself the layer 2 token for the main network, for the ecosystem that you're operating in. That's why you've seen such an incredible rise in tokens such as Avalanche and BNB, because they are being highly utilized in the network. And so it makes it so that way you have the chance to position yourself in different places, not only nodes, not only ISO tokens, not only protocols, but once again, you have the choice that is so vast in this crypto space that if you don't know what to do, feel free to reach out and we'll try to come up with a game plan. But the idea is once you learn that there are protocols that people are using to create nodes. So this is what happened with Ring that has been the most innovative technology that has come out, capitalizing on everything that is being done on DeFi. So you have blockchains. Blockchains create these cryptos. These cryptos are aiming to create decentralized reserve currencies. And so because they're trying to create decentralized reserve currencies, they're trying to create their own treasury. And off this treasury, they're trying to create these DAOs. And these DAOs are basically ways that people like you and I could invest our money into these projects. So because there are many DAOs across many layer 2 solutions, there are now companies like Ring that are investing into all these different DAOs and putting that into their treasury as they earn back, which means that you earn back a specific percentage of everything that they have due to their investments into these high yield DAOs or treasuries. This is crazy, guys. So because they invested into something that earns a high yield, something like a Klima, something like a Time that offers about 80,000% APY, right? Then these companies such as Thor is able to go ahead, such as Time or Papa Dow, which right now is offering like a ridiculous 16 million% APY. So these companies are now investing into both this and giving those returns to the people, and that's what they call a rewards protocol node, which is another way of saying if you put a certain amount of coins in here, we'll give you a specific amount of rewards every single day. So in this case, when we look at Thor, if you put in 10 Thor tokens, you earn 0.796 per day of one Thor. So what this means is basically you're earning yield at the same time you're earning rewards because they're investing into things. So not only is the price of the token going to increase or appreciate over time because more people are buying more nodes, but once they buy these nodes, those rewards, yes, they're being redistributed to the people, but there's also a certain amount of allocation going back to the treasury, and that treasury then goes and invests into these projects, which makes the treasury off of this even better. It has more money. So therefore the price of Thor now goes up. And so when you start realizing that there's these many projects that are using protocols, nodes, stable coins, as well as all these different interoperable blockchains to be able to escalate their reward system back to the people, then you realize, why shouldn't I become my own bank? And so I want you to think about it for a little bit. And if you want more information on this, help me create a better structured course on what information needs to be given out to the people. But for right now, the way that I see best that I can continue to create a better system of education as well as actually fulfill my dream of being able to create a bank for the people is to create a structured system where, yes, I would have to charge a small amount of fee through either Patreon or through my Calendly or whatever it is that we do, and we would use those funds to then pay for an office where I can actually have consultations, where we would then be able to then create content out of that location that would be scaled at your favor. Of course, trying to produce content that satisfies all your questions. But the only way that I can continue to teach this to others is to have an actual location where I can bring others in, ask questions, walk them through the process. Hopefully, one day you can fly in or we can get on the phone and we can cover all of this. Because there is no reason that I am making over $100,000 a month off of this structure with only a few of these imposed, and that's not even counting what we do with our physical realm, time and energy. So think about what these projects could do to you if you were able to position yourself in a way where these nodes are compounding these opportunities for you, and then now when these nodes produce, you don't have to invest into these tokens. You could just cash out into these tokens so that they continue to see the rewards, or you cash out into your bank. And once again, once you become your own bank, well, guess what? The idea would be if you want to become your own bank, not once you become, but if you want to become your own bank, then you become your own business first. Because if you are your own business, you could write all of these things off as business expenses, as business gains, always expecting to pay taxes on it. But remember, there's a reason why you need someone to help you. And this is why we are looking for the best advisors in each corner of this industry. So if you feel like you are an expert in the crypto space, I would like to get to know more information about what you know and how you can help us bring this information to the people. Once again, making all of the profit, all of the things that we acquire available to the people. Because the way I'm building my company is to have full transparency between revenue, distribution, and earnings, because that way we can have a better form of trust. Because eventually, I have a feeling I will be able to stop having to accept money for effort or transactions of information. And that's the goal, right? We want to break the paradigm that in order for somebody to transact or to acquire information from us, they have to give us money. I want to break that paradigm. But to do so, first we have to establish a certain amount of monthly revenue that allows us to prove to the world that we are helping people by consultation or by one-on-one education, And then that way we can move forward by scaling whatever it is that we learn through those education sessions to be able to give you, those at home at the comfort of the back end of this screen, all the information you need to become your own bank. And so yes, there are processes of information, and no, I'm not pitching you on anything. I'm giving you all the information you need to know, but I do understand that because it's coming at you so fast, and I'm taking every single angle into consideration, you may have specific questions to address for your specific portfolio. So if you'd like to set up a specific time for that, I'll make sure to leave a link on the Calendly link on the description below, and you can reach out. You know, the idea here would be that together we can continue to improve our understanding of what it is that crypto is becoming, and more importantly, we can simplify the information so that we can allow anybody off the streets to enter this space and become successful. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps. We'll see you on the next one.